Hobart School of Welding Technology presents Training in Gas Tungsten Arc Welding. Topic number 5, Job Practice. Fillet weld, lap joint, horizontal position, without and with filler metal. The objective of this job practice is to develop skill to produce quality lap joint fillet welds on 16 and 11 gauge mild steel in the horizontal position. The finished weld for the lap joint should be smooth and regular with no overlap or undercut. On a blueprint, the symbol for this weld could look like this. Fillet welds should be deposited on both sides of the joint with equal 1/16 inch legs. On the 11 gauge steel, the fillet leg length will be 1/8 inch. The filler metal used for the welds is E70S3. Material: 16 and 11 gauge mild steel. Electrode: 1% thoriated tungsten, 1/8 inch diameter. Shielding gas: argon, welding grade. Filler metal: E70S3, 1/16 inch diameter for the 16 gauge steel and 3/32 inch diameter for 11 gauge. Equipment: power source, AC-DC combination. Collet and collet body, 1/8 inch. Nozzle, 3/8 inch inside diameter. Protective clothing, gloves, and helmet. Wire brush, wire cutters, and pliers. Machine settings: polarity, direct current, electronegative, straight polarity. Amperage setting: 50 to 60 for the 16 gauge steel and 85 to 95 for the 11 gauge. Hot start, 4. Post purge, 10 to 15 seconds. High frequency, automatic. High frequency control setting, 50. Gas flow rate, 20 cubic feet per hour. Tungsten electrode stick out, 1 to 2 electrode diameters. Horizontal position fillet welds are deposited on top of a horizontal surface against a vertical surface. The first part of the exercise will be to make a fillet weld without the use of filler metal. To prepare the workpiece, position 2 pieces of mild steel to form a lap joint. Offset the pieces about 1/8 inch to form a ledge for tack welding. Tack weld both ends without filler metal to hold the plates together. It may be necessary to hold the plates together with a pliers to provide a good joint fit-up. At completion, release the foot pedal and post-purge until the weld puddle cools. This shields the puddle and prevents oxidation. Once the workpiece is prepared, position yourself in a comfortable manner so that you can weld right to left for the full length of the joint. Position the torch with an 80 to 85 degree work angle and a travel angle 10 degrees from perpendicular. Lower your helmet and start the arc. When the arc has stabilized, move the electrode tip to the top edge of the upper plate to form the puddle. Move along the top corner of the upper plate, keeping the arc length as short as possible. Be careful not to contaminate the tip of the electrode. The edge of the upper plate will melt down and fuse with the lower plate to form a convex bead about 1 electrode diameter wide. Turn the workpiece over and weld the other lap joint in the same manner. The next exercise is done on the same type of workpiece with the same procedure, except that filler metal will be added. Form the workpiece by tack welding two pieces of 16-gauge mild steel together and position them on the work table as before. Position the torch with an 80 to 85 degree work angle and a 10 to 20 degree push travel angle. The electrode should be pointing at the end of the joint. Place the end of the filler rod at the end of the joint and hold it 10 to 15 degrees away from the upper plate and 20 degrees from the bottom plate. Start the arc and hold as short an arc length as possible until the puddle develops. Then move along the rest of the joint with a steady motion, holding the filler rod stationary in the root of the joint. Travel at a speed to melt the filler metal and fuse into the joint, maintaining the proper torch and rod angles for the entire length of the joint. Be sure to post-purge at the end of the joint to protect the solidifying weld metal. The weld face should be flat to slightly convex and 1 electrode diameter wide with good fusion into the base metal. The next exercise will be done on 11-gauge mild steel. This thicker material requires 85 to 95 amps, and the correct filler metal size will be 3/32 inch in diameter. The welding technique will be about the same as for the 16-gauge material. A slight oscillation will be required to fuse the weld metal into the toe lines. The puddle will be much easier to see on this thicker material. The finished weld with filler metal will have a slightly wider face and be convex. Weld both sides of each workpiece. Then inspect the welds and continue practice.